So just how do you piss off the Trump MAGA cult? Well, you elect an American Pope. And before I get into this in more detail, let me preface my remarks. Like Carl Sagan, I am an agnostic, not an atheist. One of my favorite Sagan quotes is, "An atheist has to know a lot more than I know. An atheist is someone who knows there is no God." And despite my cynical, skeptical view on life in general, I do believe in the value of religious experience, particularly as it applies to the role in fostering morality and compassion. Like Sagan, while I acknowledge the importance of scientific inquiry, I also recognize the potential for religious beliefs to offer a sense of purpose and community, though I caution against blind faith and the suppression of scientific exploration. But we'll all agree on one thing: the pageantry and the artwork at the Vatican is pretty damn impressive. And with my film studio based in Rome, I see quite a bit of it. Last week, on the second day of the papal enclave, the cardinal electors, 133 members of the College of Cardinals, all under the age of 80, when Pope Francis died on April 21st, elected a new pope. They chose 69-year-old Cardinal Robert Prevost, who was born in Chicago, Illinois, thus making him the first pope chosen from the United States. It was a stunning twist of fate. A graduate of Villanova University, the only Augustinian Catholic university in the U.S., and Pope Leo is a member of the Order of St. Augustine. But he spent much of his ministry in Peru and became a citizen of Peru in 2015, making him the first pope from Peru as well. New popes choose a papal name to signify the direction of their papacy. And Prevost is chosen to be known as Pope Leo XIV. And this is an important nod to Pope Leo XIII, who led the Church from 1878 to 1903 and was the father of modern Catholic social teaching. He was the one that called for the Church to address social and economic issues, and he emphasized the dignity of individuals, the common good, the sense of community, and taking care of marginalized individuals. In the midst of the Gilded Age, Leo XIII defended the rights of workers and said that the Church had not just the duty to speak about justice and fairness, but also the responsibility to make sure that such equities were accomplished. In his famous 1891 encyclical called Rerum Novarum, translated as Of New Things, Pope Leo XIII rejected both socialism and unregulated capitalism, and he called for the state to protect the rights of individuals. The new pope's choice of the name Leo invokes the principles of both Leo XIII and his predecessor, Pope Francis. In his own lifetime, he has aligned himself with many of Francis's social reforms, and his election appears to be a rejection of the hardline right-wing Catholics in the United States and elsewhere, who have used their religion to support far-right politics. In the United States, Vice President J.D. Vance is one of those hard-line right-wing Catholics. Shortly after taking office in January, Vance began to talk of the concept of ordo amoris, or order of love, which was articulated by Catholic St. Augustine, claiming it justified the MAGA emphasis on family and tribalism, and suggesting it justified the mass expulsion of migrants. Vance had told Sean Hannity of the Fox News Channel one particular thing. You love your family, and then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens in your own country. And then, after all of that, you focus and prioritize the rest of the world. A lot of the far left has completely inverted that. On February 10th of this year, Pope Francis responded in a letter to American bishops. He corrected Vance's assertion as a false interpretation of Catholic theology. And what he said was this: Christians know very well that it is only by affirming the infinite dignity of all that our own identity as persons and as communities reaches its maturity. Christian love is not a concentric expansion of interests that little by little extend to other persons and groups. The true ordo amoris that must be promoted is that which we discover by meditating on the love that builds a fraternity open to all without exception. Worrying about personal, community, or national identity apart from these considerations easily introduces an ideological criterion that distorts social life and imposes the will of the strongest as their criterion of truth. The right of a nation to defend itself and keep communities safe from those who have committed violent or serious crimes while in the country or prior to arrival is very apparent. But we must defend the fundamental dignity of every human being and the fundamental rights of migrants. Last week, the new Pope greeted the world. And what was interesting was he only used Italian and Spanish, deliberately not using his English, Vatican insiders have said, as he thanked Pope Francis and the other cardinals and called for the church to be, what he said, a missionary church, building bridges, dialogue, always open to receiving with open arms for everyone, open to all who need our charity, our presence, dialogue, love, especially to all of those who are suffering. As an American-born pope in the model of Pope Francis, Pope Leo XIV might be able to appeal to American far-right Catholics and perhaps bring them back into the fold. But that was not to be. What happened? MAGAs responded to the new pope with fury. Right-wing influencer Laura Loomer, who is very close to Trump, called Pope Leo another Marxist puppet in the Vatican. Influencer Charlie Kirk suggested he was an open borders globalist installed to counter Trump. And, not to be left out, Steve Bannon, who called Leo the worst possible pick for MAGA Catholics. But the naming of a new pope also has another role, the call of ritual. It stabilizes time and it anchors meaning. Yes, they were all men, and yes, they were mostly white, chanting solemnly as they filed into the Sistine Chapel, elegantly robed in matching scarlet regalia to elect a new pope. And yes, there are all the well-known issues facing the Catholic Church, with women, gay people, sexual and financial scandals, and a lot more. Yet, there was something about the age-old rituals surrounding the conclave that was profoundly affecting for consumer societies who were unmoored in their easy strivings from anything meaningful to anchor the flurry of their existence. Symbolic perception is gradually being replaced by a serial perception that is totally incapable of producing the experience of something like duration. What we need most are temporal structures that stabilize life. When everything is short-term, life loses all stability. And stability must come over long stretches of time. Faithfulness, bonds, integrity, commitment, promises, trust. These are the societal practices that hold a community together. They all have a ritual character, and they all require a lot of time. And in an age when few political leaders are engaging with artificial intelligence, Pope Leo XIV, he gets it. The most important question about AI isn't a technical question. The most important question is about how to maintain and grow a just society in the age of AI. In the Vatican's translation of his speech, Pope Leo XIV explained that his name references Pope Leo XIII, who presided over the church at the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. And I want to make one quote from a letter that the recent Pope put out. I choose to take the name Leo XIV. There are different reasons for this, but mainly because Pope Leo XIII, in his historical encyclical Rerum Novarum, addressed the social question in the context of the very first great industrial revolution. In our own day, the Church offers to everyone the treasury of her social teaching in response to another industrial revolution and to developments in the field of artificial intelligence that pose new challenges for the defense of human dignity, justice, and labor. It is a most difficult thing trying to grasp some historical orientation, trying to build some scaffolding of temporal stability before everything seems to be falling away. And yet I think this is, in a way, a vision of the new Pope. I think his intent is to give us scaffolding. I think his intent is to provide us some kind of an anchor. And it's good, honestly, to hear a Pope talk about artificial intelligence in such a meaningful, understandable way that I wish him the best of luck.